been a great pleasure to work with this particular special guest of mine today. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Mr. Tony Stockwell.
Thank you very much indeed. I do hope that we get somewhere with the spirit people here today. And I've got a gentleman here that wishes to connect with us, but I feel he's only just passed to the spirit world. I don't go a long time ago. So first of all, can I ask the people up on that end or people up on the corner here, would anybody understand a gentleman 65 plus that's only passed within the last, say, 14 months or so? Lady here, that's fine. Bear with me 1 second, darling. Now, as I connect with this gentleman here, the one thing I get here is a sense that either he had a very raspy way of talking or a gravelly voice there with him in the lifetime. Do you understand that? That's it. I know that this gentleman also must have a daughter in this world, though, darling. Do you understand? Yes, you, that's fine. But I know he's looking for his daughter. That's what I feel. You had to know the man to truly love the man. I think that he was at times something of a rogue, but not in a nasty way. But I feel kind of a joker with this man as well, do you know? Like he wants to pull me leg, that's what I get. Now I know that this man has big hands as he comes to see us here, and I get very strong hands with him as well. Now darling, is it in fact your father that has blue eyes there in life? Blue eyes? Funny enough, they look rather watery to me as well. So I feel like he want to wipe his eyes and wipe not just tears, but a sense of maybe a slight aggravation there with his eyes too. Your father wore a uniform there in his life too. And I know that recently you have been looking at me, you've been looking at your father wearing his uniform. Is that okay?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay, sure?
Yes,
I'm
positive.
sure. So I think it's true. I know he's seen you looking at him in his uniform. Doesn't he look dashing? Doesn't he look smart? That's what he talks of. I also feel you were with him as he passed to the spirit world. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, I was.
Because he talks about you being there and being with me. Sweetheart, I also feel that you were on the right of your father when he passed, on his right-hand side. Can you remember? Is that correct?
Yes.
That's it. Now, he's making reference to having a young brother in the spirit world, but a much younger brother. What is this? So I want to talk about a young man, though, darling. I don't want to know older men. A young man. I hear brother. I get... What you saying, darling?
My brother.
Your brother. Bear with me, darling. But he was been a young man when he had passed, though, into the spirit world. Not a baby, not a child. I want a young adult male.
Yes.
That's right. Now, as I feel this young adult male coming close to me, when he passed into the spirit, he would have gone very suddenly into the spirit, darling, instantaneously into the spirit. Now, if this is correct, I feel there was in some way some kind of accident involved in that, darling. But I feel this is an accident which involves a car or something to do with a car involved in an accident. Is that okay for you? Now, as he talks about this, had he in fact been driving a car, my darling? That's it. Because I feel as I get that sense of the chest here, it feels as though there's a collision and the sense of impact with a steering wheel there against his chest. So that's correct, that's it. I know this man and your father have connected in the spirit world. I know it's a funny term, but they're as happy as Larry there in the spirit world there. And I know that the boy was waiting to take your father to the spirit world. It's a sense of, as you say goodbye to your father in our world, then he took his hand and led him there into the spirit side of life. Well done. Now, your father wishes to bring you here a sense of just yellow flowers. I'm not good at flowers, I don't know them. But he just says, say yellow flowers. Is that all right for you? That's it. Now, as I talks of the yellow flowers, that in some way does in fact make up his survival evidence there to you, I know he wishes to offer them back to you with love and with tenderness there. That's fine. I know that your father has left his watch here in this world, but I know he wants to give it to the boy, or he wants the boy to have his watch. Is that okay for you? That's it. And I know that as long as the boy gets the watch, that will make him very happy. There's a George there, darling, to the spirit side of life too. I feel that's his dad, or I feel that's his brother, but I feel it belongs strong to him.
His dad.
Dad is fine. His dad is fine. But I know that there's a George that comes there, stands next to your father, connected there with the brother too. So if that is effectively your grandfather, then he's more than welcome here at the moment. So what I would like to do, darling, is say thank you very much indeed for listening to me.
Thank you.
Do take George, your dad and your brother's love there, and I say God bless you. Thank you very much indeed for listening.
I hadn't known my father. I hadn't seen him since I was a very young girl. I had at some point in my life tried to find him, but without success. And then about a year ago, I found him by coincidence through a friend, through a phone number that she found. The thing I remember about my dad that makes me smile, makes me feel good, is the day when we actually met up after 35 years of not seeing each other, and it was just magic, and it was just like we'd known each other forever, and I'll never forget his face. My dad passed away in January this year after a very short illness and very unexpected.
At times, something of a rogue, but not in a nasty way, but I feel kind of a joker with this man as well, do you know?
What people had told me in the family, he was a bit of a rogue when he was younger, a bit of a Jack the Lad, if you like, and I don't think he'd changed much, you know, in the years. And when I found him, he was still a bit of a clown, you know, that sort of person.
Now, I know that this man has big hands as he comes to see us here.
He wasn't a very big man, but he did have extraordinarily large hands for his size.
Your father had wore a uniform there in his life too?
My dad was in the Navy years ago, and that was his life for a long time. He was very proud. After that, I don't really know a lot about what he did work-wise, but I know that his wife now said that he went from job to job, never really settled for very long, because he was liked being on the go, and that's why I think he liked the Navy life.
Sweetheart, I also feel that you were on the right of your father when he passed.
When my dad was in hospital, he was unconscious, being kept alive on a ventilator, and I sat with him because before he went into hospital, he had said to me, "Don't leave me." So that stuck in my mind. So when he was dying, I sat with him and I wouldn't leave him. And I was sitting to his right, which is what Tony said, holding his hand and stroking his face. And that to me was worth everything, because now I know he knew I was there. And that's what you wonder when somebody's gone, as if they know you're there. And he did.
I want to talk about a young man though, darling. I don't want to know older men.
Yeah.
A young man. I hear brother. It feels as though there's a collision and a sense of impact with a steering wheel.
I knew that it was my brother who died when I was 16 in 1978. He'd been in a car accident, and because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, because it wasn't the law, it was the steering wheel, the impact from the steering wheel that killed him.
I know that the boy was waiting to take your father to the spirit world.
I saw him out, and my brother held his hand and took him the other side. It's a real comfort to hear something like that.
Your father wishes to bring you here a sense of just yellow flowers.
I've always said that if anything ever happened to me, I don't want people buying lots of flowers for my funeral. I want everybody to bring me one yellow rose, because yellow roses are my favourite. And when Tony mentioned about yellow flowers and my dad was giving me yellow flowers, just took my breath away, because that is just something personal to me.
He wants the boy to have his watch.
I've got a son who's 14, and my dad's wife had actually said to me, "I've got your dad's watch and I think he'd like Tom to have it." She hasn't actually given it to me yet because I don't feel she's ready to part with it, but she has actually said to me that Tom is to have the watch. So obviously my dad feels the same.
I know he wishes to offer them back to you with love and with tenderness.
All I felt was an overwhelming sense of emotion, all mixed. I wanted to laugh and cry and everything else, and now I feel very emotional, but happier, you know, more content.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please thank today my special guest, Mr. Tony Stockwell.